So what was that like when Ryan Reynolds calls you? Are you like totally conscious the whole time that you're speaking to Deadpool? Or is there a moment when it just starts to be about the football?
Yeah, it is weird. It still is weird when he calls me.
My guest today is one of my favourite human beings in the entire Wrexham pantheon. A gent whose journey has taken him from Arsenal's academy in North London, straight up to North Wales, where he's now in his second season as Wrexham's starting goalkeeper, the first on loan, but he's now signed permanently to ride with the town. And last year, he was only League Two's goalkeeper of the season. He's already kept 5 clean sheets in Wrexham's long-awaited return to League One wonder. All of this, and he's still just 22 years old, 6 months younger than the Fast and the Furious movie franchise. It's a joy to welcome back, Mr. Arthur Okonkwo.
Thanks, Rog. How you doing?
Arthur, I'm doing so bloody well. I love speaking to you during this summer's Wrexham tour in Vancouver. Wrexham, possibly the greatest international export other than maybe Mudeng. As we speak, you are currently second in League One after back-to-back promotions. For the first time in 19 years, back at that level. What's the transition for you been like from League Two to League One for you as a goalkeeper? What are the most significant differences you've experienced?
I'll just say, like, the quality's gone up again. I know the boys from last season were saying that the quality's gone up from National League to League One. And yeah, I think it's just another rise. And things are quicker. The teams we're playing against are better. And it's just it's a tough fight every game.
Mentally, as you start League One, you're like, you know what? It's going to be quicker. They're going to be faster. They're going to be stronger. Is it like a relief after that first game where you're like, all right, I got this, I can handle this? Or were you never, coming from where you've come from, were you never, a seed of doubt was never in place?
No, I wouldn't say it's doubt. I think when you enter something new, you need to get used to it and adjust. And yeah, I think we've done relatively well the first few games, and I think we have so much room to improve and get better, which is the most important thing.
Well, we'll talk more about the town in one moment, but as I said to you when we were live on stage, I do revere your journey. There's so much to me that is singular and fascinating, so much that's human in there, starting from the fact, and I love this, it gives me hope, that you didn't really start playing football until you were almost 7 years old. Your parents' friend was a coach. You told the story on stage, took you to the park, introduced you to the game. Arthur, this is one thing I didn't ask you, but you grew up in London, which is a football-mad city in a football-mad country. How did it happen that not only you hadn't played the game, but you hadn't followed it or even watched it? There were no Panini stickers even on your school notebooks.
Honestly, I didn't follow football. My dad loved watching it, but I didn't know what it was. I was just watching it with him. And yeah, I think my parents first got me into football just to drain my energy because I was an energetic kid, as they tell me. And yeah, just started with the football coach and just started going and enjoying it. And yeah, it just found its way like that.
What was on the mind of, like, if I'd met 5-year-old Arthur Okonkwo, not interested in football, what were you mad for back then?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I think my parents would tell you I was just crazy and had loads of energy. That's what they tell me all the time. I would have been just normal in the sense that I would have liked what other 5-year-olds liked. And yeah, I think they just used the football to tire me out, and so when I got home I went to sleep and stuff, and it worked out for them and it worked out for me as well.
Yeah, what's amazing, your parents wanted you to run around, but you decided you didn't like being an outfield player because, quote, you discovered you don't like running, which is, by the way, intensely relatable. But when you started playing more often, you started to put yourself in goal week in, week out. What made it feel so right? Did it feel like Peter Parker being bitten by a spider, that you'd like discovered your superhero skills?
No, I think when, like you said, when you're from London, you you find yourself playing football quite easily around in the park and stuff. And yeah, I just went in goal because obviously I didn't like running, and I just enjoyed the feeling of making a save and everyone saying like, "How did you save that?" And I think it's stuck with me till now, and that's why I still enjoy doing it.
God, it's amazing. If you did not like running, you could have had an alternate future as an Everton centre midfielder. But instead, you put yourself in goal. And despite a late start, by the time you were 8, you'd shown enough to already join Arsenal's famed Hale End Academy. You've said that you remember the day that you signed for Arsenal. What stands out to you about that day and about that moment in your development?
Yeah, the day was really weird because I was on my last 2 weeks of my trial, and I just remember them calling me up and saying, "Look, Arthur, we want to sign you." Um, but you have to remember, I was 8 years old. I didn't think much of it, to be, to be fair. I was signed that day and I went home like normal. And, it's only till now I realize, oh, wow, that was a huge moment. And yeah, young me just didn't understand what was going on.
Young you was hanging out with the likes of young Bukayo Saka.
Yes, I was.
And you were just like, yeah, we're all right. We're not that special. What was he like back then?
Very similar, very humble, very good in the sense that he's been one of our best players throughout the academy. But yeah, he hasn't changed much. He's still the Bukayo you see on TV today.
Was 8-year-old Bukayo just cutting in from the right and just trying to bang him in top corner?
Nothing's changed. Same thing now. Same thing before. He still does so much good actions now in the game, and I've seen it before. I've seen it for the last 10, 15 years. So, but it's so good to see him doing so well.
Yeah, I think mentally he's still just trying to smash the ball past 8-year-old Arthur Okonkwo, even on Premier League. It was you parrying him for years that set him on this incredible quest for goal hunger. But the idea, I mean, what we're talking about, 8-year-olds becoming part of a professional sports team, be honest, it's not something that Americans truly have built in to the system here. We got like Little League World Series or getting your team sponsored by the best insurance agency around in your locality. Really, what is it like? You've said it's like no big deal when you sign that young. 97% of academy players never make a first team appearance. 70% never even get a football contract. Does it feel, being in and around Arsenal, that you are on the pathway to becoming a professional, working towards something? Or does it just feel like you're with your mates, playing football, just having a laugh, and everything still feels like a dream?
Yeah, so I think growing up through the academy, when I compare myself to when I signed and to when I finished, it was only at one point only me and Bukayo left. So almost all the age group moved on, went to different clubs. Some aren't with contracts anymore. Some aren't even playing football entirely. So I think at the time when you're younger, you see it as, you're just with your mates, you're enjoying football, you love winning games. And our team was incredible at the time. It was so easy to be in that environment where we're just enjoying our football and improving every single day. And I think when you go full time and you go into the professional sense, then it becomes a bit more serious in the sense that, okay, now it's time to be focused, be ready. Games are more serious, just to prepare you for the senior football. Some players can handle it, some players can't. But it's just about finding what helps you and finding what's the best method for yourself.
Did you ever, before football, have an idea of what you wanted to be when you grew up, Arthur?
I honestly can't remember anything before wanting to be a footballer. I think I've always wanted to be in and around football. My dad loves football and he got me into football, and my mates enjoy football, and it's just like it was just a no-brainer growing up to be involved in that. So yeah, I'm still going now.
I mean, in many ways it is, as we'll discuss, become the family business. But when did you start to think that football could become a real career for you? What age did that really kind of kick in?
It's funny, when I think back to it now, like when I was 10, 11, I didn't even know you can earn money from football. I just thought it was a joke. Like, Like, you just enjoy yourself, and then when you get to the top, you just play and things work out. So yeah, I think when it came time to know if whether you're going to get a scholarship or a professional contract, I think that's when things get a bit more serious, because it's you get this contract or you're gone. And that was around probably the age of 15, 16. I think that's when I knew it's getting a bit more serious.
You got your first professional contract with Arsenal when you were 17 years old, which meant that you moved to Arsenal's training facility for its senior and first team players, the famed London Colney. And you've said before that being at Colney, quote, changes you because you have to gain a different character there to survive for a long time. Arthur, can you describe that character? Put it into words for us and tell us how that step up changed you as a person.
Yeah, I think the big thing in Colney when I moved up at the time was a lot of the coaches and staff looked at how you behaved not only on the pitch but off the pitch, and they took so much consideration into that. And yeah, that's why I said it's about your character. I think if you have a good character, they can see that you're willing to work and to improve. I think it puts you in good stead to keep getting pushed on up, because that's what you want to achieve. You want to go as high as possible. So yeah, I think that's why the biggest thing is your character. And obviously, if you're able to do that, you know, it helps you for your future as well. If you don't make it in Arsenal, you have a bright future elsewhere. I think it's really important to have that London Colney. Well, it was important for me anyway, going on to my future career.
I mean, Arthur, can I ask you this? You talk about the skills you learn, the dedication, the kind of uptick, but how much of a goalkeeper's skills, their reactions, their technique, how much of it is natural and how much of it can be taught, can be learned?
I think you need a form of natural instinct, in the sense that the stuff you train on, you know, no matter how much you train, some players have natural gifts. That's just the way it is. I'm taller, which gives me a natural advantage, or I can jump higher, or I'm more explosive, which are advantages that some goalkeepers might not have. But I think the important thing is learning your strengths and working with what you have. And I think that's an important thing for a goalkeeper. Not every goalkeeper is tall. Some are small and they still do really well. So it's about your mind more than your power.
Were there any techniques or aspects of your game that were more challenging for you to learn?
The most challenging one, even till today, is kicking with my left foot. I am definitely improving, but there's still so much room for improvement. When I was really young, I couldn't kick at all. So I think I've gone somewhere at least. And yeah, every goalkeeper has a weakness that they're trying to improve, and I try and work on it every week and to make sure it's perfect.
That's yours currently. When you think of your weakness is kicking with your left foot.
Yeah, which is a weak foot, but yeah.
That is possibly the greatest testament to modern goalkeeping. I made a documentary film once about goalkeeping for NBC, and we interviewed a ton of Premier League footballers, and each one of them cursed out Manuel Neuer for changing the demands on the position for them mid-career, that they had to suddenly become so bloody good with their feet. But genuinely, that is your weakness.
Yeah, you have to be really good with your feet now, and I think the way the game's evolving, it's going towards build up, using the ball with your feet more than your hands. That's what they say. So yeah, it's something to improve, and you have to adapt to it. But yeah, I think every goalkeeper wants to get better at this, because that's just the way the game's going now.
You talk about it being a position of the mind, and mentally, goalkeeping is such a lonely position. I mean, it's so hard. If Ollie Palmer makes a mistake in a game, he knows that it's still possible for him to score, whip his shirt off, and no one will remember the misses. But everybody remembers every goalkeeper clanger. Every goalkeeper makes a mistake. In game, if you do make a mistake, do you have a drill in your head to move yourself away from frustration, disappointment, anger? those things? Do you have a technique you use?
Good question. Well, my technique is I tell myself I didn't make a mistake. So I think there's one of the goalkeepers used that, one of the famous goalkeepers used that. I can't remember who now, but he used to tell. I think it's Peter Schmeichel. And he used to say to himself that he didn't make a mistake, and I think it's the best technique you can use as a goalkeeper. But yeah, that's my personal one.
It's amazing. Young listeners, just approach everything in life. You're perfect. Repress the mistake. Oh, and you too can become an elite professional footballer. But, I mean, it's a completely misunderstood position. You mentioned Peter Schmeichel. He's one of the few goalkeepers to become a broadcaster. We have so few goalkeepers talking about the game, informing the fan perspective. And so a lot of what we as fans know about goalkeeping is hogwash, myths. You know, the talk about goalkeepers don't want to be beaten at the near post. That show that I made about Premier League goalkeepers, they all hated that. They were all like, we hate to be beaten at any post. What's the one thing we fans most misunderstand about goalkeepers, Arthur?
We are human, and we do make mistakes like a player. And like you said before, you know, Ollie can make 100 mistakes, but if he scores 2 goals, no one cares, you know. But unfortunately, for a goalkeeper position, that's a different story. It makes sense why, but I think that's the one thing that's most misunderstood. But it's just the way of the game. To be fair, I don't think that will change anytime soon. But it's part of it.
You were surrounded in your career by incredible goalkeepers. At Colney, I think you had the incredible Peter Cech in his final season. You had Leno now at Fulham, and a singular character, Aaron Ramsdale, now of Southampton. I believe you sat by him in the dressing room, and I wonder what did you learn from watching him in training and matches? Was one of those goalkeepers in particular someone who helped you develop as a player and as a person?
Honestly, every goalkeeper that I've seen in Colney always tried to help. That period where I was in Colney from the ages of probably 16, 17, all the way up to 21, 22, I think were the most important years of my career. I improved so much as a goalkeeper. What I'll say is I picked something from every single goalkeeper. And try to learn from them. Petr Cech's a great example. He's a legend. He's someone that would always give you advice.
What's the most important thing you learned from Peter Cech?
Most important thing I learned was, I think it was one training session, and I had to volley the ball at a rebound board. I couldn't hit the rebound board, and he just said, "Arthur, relax. You know how to hit the rebound board. Just do it." And I was able to do it after that. And I think he was just telling me, when you get in moments where you're frustrated or you're not able to do what it is that you know you can do. It's just about staying calm and telling yourself you can do it, which is good advice.
This is amazing. I mean, you're getting a glimpse here of the goalkeeping mastery, mental mastery, really. You made a mistake, you tell yourself you didn't make a mistake. You can't hit the reflector board, you tell yourself you can do this. Leno, what did he teach you?
Leno, he taught me the German roll. It's a funny dive sequence. He'll understand, but it's when you dive and you twist round because it helps absorb the impact. But it's just a funny thing. But yeah, but no, he taught me much more. He was extremely quick. He had amazing handling, great positioning. He was so good at the 1v1 blocks in training, and that's one thing I think the most important that I picked up from him, how he's able to close down space at striker's feet, it was really good to see.
I love the notion of a German role. Finally, Aaron Ramsdale. I mean, again, I said a singular human being. He really is as a goalkeeper, a distinctive individual. I know you spent a lot of time with him. When you think back to that time, what was the most important lesson you took?
One big thing was, I remember when Aaron first joined the club, and he wasn't starting. I remember, he was always so positive. and he waited for his time, and he was able to take his opportunity. And it's something that I think is one of the most important things that I learned from him at his time at Arsenal. Like you said, you have to have a strong mind as a goalkeeper. You're going to have situations where you're not playing, and there's only one position. It's not like a striker can fit into two positions, or a centre back can play across the three, like at Wrexham. There's only one position, so it's really difficult sometimes to keep yourself in the right mind when you're not playing and not get frustrated. So yeah, I think I've picked up a lot from him.
Yeah, at Wrexham, you now train with Mark Howard, who's still age 38, as sharp as ever. What have you learned from Mark?
Oh, I learned so much from Mark. We speak every day. He always gives me tips on techniques, and I respect him quite a lot because he's been there and he's done it, and I try my best to pick up as much as I can from him. But yeah, he's a legend. There's too much to say when it comes to technical side of the game. Different kicking positions, different ways to deflect the ball. It's too much, but he just helps day to day and gives me different techniques and stuff to use.
It is amazing, Arthur, just hearing you talk through this arc of your own career and the meaning and the learning that you've gleaned from the other goalkeepers who were on your team, but they're also competitors, as your Aaron Ramsdale reminds us, for playing time. The Goalkeepers Union, it is a strange and remarkable thing. You're a unit together, but you're also as individuals competing for bandwidth, for space, for starting time. How do you put that into words for us civilians who are outside and never will be part of the Goalkeepers Union?
Every goalkeeper understands within a goalkeeper union that only one goalkeeper can play, and the most we can do is support each other, and whoever is the best performer obviously will play. But we spend the most time together. I think with the goalkeeper union, we see no advantage in bringing the other goalkeeper down for your own advantage. So yeah, it's always been like that since I started football. The goalkeeper union's been the strongest, and I think you learn it from young. It's the most important thing, and learning how to support other goalkeepers. And yeah, I think it's just it's a unspoken rule with the goalkeeper union, and yeah.
Long may it last. It is one of the most fascinating microcultures of any elite footballing squad. And in the search for playing time, your journey really began. You went out on loan for the first time, summer 2022. You left Arsenal, you left North London, you headed to Crewe, Alexandra in League Two, which I believe was the first time you'd lived alone, away from your family. How did you experience that as a young player? How do you get settled in professionally when you're experiencing that kind of personal change off the field?
Yeah, I'd say Crewe was my hardest loan, just because I was alone, and it was the first time living by myself. But I really enjoyed, being able to have the opportunity to play now. Honestly, my teammates helped a lot when I was there, just giving me things to do and being happy every time I went in the training ground. But it was difficult, but it was a good learning experience for me being at Crewe, and I loved being involved with it and being able to play for points, something I wasn't used to at the time, which was really good.
Can you just describe that, because it is beautiful, playing for points. I mean, we all play football. Everyone plays for fun. You've talked beautifully about how as a kid it just felt like a giddy game. But that step up to play for points, I don't want to project. What does that mean, and what does that mean to you?
Well, like I said before, once you enter senior football, it becomes a bit more serious. When I joined Crewe, I was one of the youngest in the team. You had the much senior players who needed the win for their bonuses and stuff like that, and that is added pressure, along with people watching the game and the fans and the hecklers, as you call them. You also have that added pressure of you need to win every game, and yeah, I think that was my first taste of it at Crewe. It's not something you really get when I was at Arsenal playing in the youth team. So yeah, it was a huge change.
I mean, this change, by the way, it did happen overnight. This is remarkable. You moved to Crewe, which is essentially a railway town over 170 miles northwest of London. You moved there on a Friday, and the next day you made your professional debut because you arrived. And Crewe starting goalkeeper Dave Richards had a broken finger. Did being thrust into that instant start almost make it easier to adapt because you didn't have time to think, to get worried?
Yeah, I remember it like yesterday. I joined Crewe on the Friday, and as I've come in to do my medical, the keeper's finger, Dave Richards, his finger's completely like destroyed, and the manager's pulled me into the room. Alex Morris at the time, he's told me, look, Arthur, some good news. You're going to be playing tomorrow.
Some good news. Dave's finger's mashed.
Yeah, Dave's finger's mashed, and you're going to be playing tomorrow. And the only problem I had with playing tomorrow was that I didn't know anyone's name. I had no clue what the players' names were.
Did you tell them that? Were you like, what were you like, hey, you?
Yeah, honestly, sometimes I had to say the numbers of the players on the pitch. But, I remember they gave me a sheet to revise before the game with names and numbers, and it's too difficult to remember 11 names in overnight. But no, it was an incredible experience.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was definitely nervous. First appearance, first senior game, I was definitely nervous, yeah.
Like more nervous than you've ever been? More nervous in a way you couldn't prepare for?
I don't think it's the most nervous I've been. I was just nervous. I was excited, but I was also nervous because I think the biggest thing was I didn't know everyone's name. I think I'd seen that as a negative before I've even started. So yeah, but we got through it. We won 2-1 that day. So
yes, you did. It was away at Rochdale.
Away at Rochdale, yeah.
Oh, you should just keep shouting "Hey you" every single game. You were just 20 years old. And you've said about that time that the players you were facing were, quote, grown men, and they throw stuff towards you to see how you dealt with it in games. They were testing you from the off. What was that like? Was it intimidating? And how did you learn to mask it?
When a young goalkeeper first makes his senior appearance, they're going to put balls onto you, cross loads of balls, and yeah, you need to be able to deal with the aerial challenges, and they're going to run into you, they're going to smash you as much as they can. And yet, I think it's hard to deal with it. I think the most important thing is having good decision making, staying calm as much as you can. And yeah, it's never easy the first game, but you can only get better, which is the good thing.
After Crewe, you went out on loan again, this time to Sturm Graz, coincidentally, second largest city in Austria. Put you in a new league, the Austrian Bundesliga, in a new country, new teammates, spoke a completely different language. What was that like personally, professionally, to living suddenly in this land of lederhosen, classical music, mountain culture, schnitzel and apple strudel?
Yeah, it was, to be honest, it was my hardest move, only because obviously I was away from home. It wasn't easy flying back from Austria back to London. But apart from that, I really enjoyed the football. The staff were incredible. Anything I needed, they were really helpful, which is really important when you're moving away from home for the first time. But yeah, I think it was a great move for me looking back at it, because I feel like I was really able to mature, being away from home and playing football and not having anyone around really. But I made some great friends out there as well, and yeah, it was an amazing experience, and we were able to win something that year. So
not just something, it's the Austrian Cup final where Sturm Graz beat Rapid Vienna 2-0. After experiencing that victory, that football, that glory, can you talk about what you learned about how the game in England and in Wales feels so different, so singular to what you experienced on the continent?
The big difference when I was in Austria compared to England is there wasn't as many games. The league is split in half, so top 6 play top six at one point, and bottom six play bottom six, and it's really repetitive. The league, you're playing maybe a team like Salzburg, maybe you play them maybe 5 times in one season. You play them in the cup 2 times before the split off, and then 2 times after. And yeah, if you compare that to I think league football, it's relentless. There's no rest. It's game after game after game, and I think I enjoyed that side of football.
After leaving Austria, you finally arrived in the promised land, going to Wrexham on loan at a critical time. Then goalkeeper Ben Foster had to pack up his GoPro and retired for the second time around. Retired as a club icon, a club hero. And we previously talked about this period, how you didn't know what a worldwide phenomenon Wrexham had become. That somehow you'd never watched a single episode of Welcome to Wrexham, which is a little bit, I like to think, like 7-year-old Arthur never having played football before. But after arriving in North Wales, that incredible place that is currently serving up Ollie Palmer's majestic facial hair and Hill Street's social bottomless crisp sandwiches, when did you start to realise that this club was different and that its owners weren't just standard football executives?
I think it's from the first time my agents had contacted me and told me it was a possibility. Ryan called me, and they told me the plan and what he wants to get from me and what he wants me to experience with the club. And I think when he started telling me about his plans for me, I think it was an eye opener. I think I spoke to the manager as well, which was huge. And they said the same things. Everything was aligned, and it just felt like the right move. I think with my previous 2 moves, I always went with my heart, and the same thing with Wrexham. And yeah, I just felt like it was the right move.
Sturm Graz didn't have Arnold Schwarzenegger reach out before they sealed the loan deal. Is that what you're telling me?
No, they didn't.
So what was that like when Ryan Reynolds calls you? Are you like totally conscious the whole time that you're speaking to Deadpool? Or is there a moment when it just starts to be about the football?
Yeah, it is weird. It still is weird when he calls me. And yeah, no, but it's amazing. And he's so invested, and he wants us to achieve, not only him, but Rob as well. He wants us to achieve everything we want to achieve. And, they support us in any way we need, anything we need. And it's so important to be so involved with your owners, and not many clubs are like this. And yeah, I think for a club that's on the way up and everything's going the way that they want, I think it's so important to have owners like this and to be so connected and involved.
One of the ways it made an impact is in transforming the ground. There's big vision for the Stoke Kairas. It's become a formidable place for opposing teams to play. Its capacity's increasing. There's that new temporary stand. As a goalkeeper, you talked earlier about the heckling, Arthur. How aware are you of the crowd in game? Can you sense it when the mood changes, the vibe shifts? Can you hear everything, or do you learn to tune it all out?
To be fair, I'm good at cutting things off. I have hecklers every away game. I don't think there's been an away game this season I haven't had it. But you do learn quite quickly how to shy it off. And yeah, no, the atmosphere at our home is incredible. It's one of the best in the league. There's no doubt. You feel goosebumps, sometimes when you hear the fans like screaming and singing, especially away as well. And you hear them singing, even when we're losing, they're still singing. And no, it's so amazing to have that, and just hope it can be like that till the end of the season.
Aaron Ramsdale, his heckle strategy was to get stuck in at all times and engage in all conversation. I've got a feeling that is not the Arthur way.
Nah, it's not. I just don't respond, to be honest. I'm literally able to cut it off. Once in a while, we'll give them a little bit back, depending on the result. But no, most of the time I just try to ignore it. Even if we win, I still try to not give anything back.
You've won a lot with Wrexham, Arthur. You made 40 starts. You kept 16 clean sheets all competitions last season. Your season could have been cut short. During a November trip to Harrogate Town, you took a knee to the face, which broke your jaw in 2 places. The team doctors encouraged you to take your recovery slowly, but you insisted on going back to training. Within 2 weeks, you wore a protective mask. You were the Kylian Mbappe of the lower D Valley. And you said that you were willing to risk it, which is fairly incredible. You're a young man with, please God, a long career ahead of you. What made you take that chance? Did you feel the pressure to come back so you didn't lose your spot, or is that just who you are?
No, I just wanted to get back playing. I felt like I had a good momentum before the injury. So yeah, I think it was just frustrating to then get injured, and it was an important time for the team as well. But no, I felt like I let the team down when I initially got injured, not knowing I'd broken my jaw. But yeah, I still wanted to get back as soon as possible. I told the doctor, how soon can I be back? He told me 3-4 weeks after surgery. I said, no, I'm okay. Gave me a good mask and I'll play.
God, I love you. Again, mental mastery. I don't have a broken jaw. I'm not in agony. It's not the painkillers talking. But whatever you're doing, it's working. Because this season, Wrexham have already kept 5 clean sheets in the first 9 games. There have been times watching you when honestly, there's games you've looked absolutely untouchable, Arthur. August, when you faced mighty Bolton, I think they took 11 shots. A week later, Reading attempted 14. 25 times, 0 goals. When you're locked in, how do you experience the game? Does it feel like the opposing team slows down? Or do you feel like your reactions, your decision making just speed up?
When you're in good form and you have a lot of confidence, you're able to make any save that you want. But you can't say it's all me as well. The defenders have been incredible. Especially with the great start we had, and I can't give myself all the credit. It's been overall performance, but no, I think when you're locked in, as you say, I think you have your good moments, and you're able to make saves that shouldn't be made, and I was happy to be able to do that for those 2 games.
Do you know when you're locked in, Arthur? There are other games where you're like, no one's going to touch me. There's just genuinely, there will be no goals in this game. Or is it always the same that you're always just making that one play, moving on to the next, aware that a mistake can just change the game in a heartbeat? Are there games where you feel superhuman?
I wouldn't say there's any game where I feel superhuman. I've conceded so many goals in my career where I know that I'm obviously human. So I think a good point that you made is just staying present and taking each action in your stride and trying to deliver the best action every time. So that's why I try to focus on with myself. And still a long season to go.
Just a few days before Wrexham played away at Leyton Orient, your manager, great friend of this show, Phil Parkinson, he made an 8-hour round trip to watch Orient's midweek game against Peterborough, 425 miles, just for some fact-finding missions. No big deal. Arthur, I do wonder, what do you do to prepare yourself for each match or each opponent? What's your regimen tactically, mentally? How much do you know? And what do you know about each opponent?
The good thing is, I know a lot of the players and attacking players in the league, either from me playing against them or watching them on the telly, which is a good thing. And then I think the next thing is, we have incredible analysts at the club, and they send us clips of every single attacking player before games, and we watch that over penalties. And we're able to watch it over. I'm able to look through it and see, okay, does he like to take it off this foot, or does he like to shoot? Does he like to come inside? Does he like to go down the line and cross it? Where does he cross the ball into? What areas? So there's a lot of analysing within football and before the games.
Do you know a lot about the set pieces of each opponent?
Yeah, I think we get sent that, and before the game we do train on that. It's about learning who their threat is in the box and different stuff like that.
Who's the best striker you played against and why?
Well, I played against Jermaine Defoe at Rangers. I grew up and I watched him, so he's the greatest striker I've played against by far.
What was it about him that just set him apart?
Funny enough, he actually pulled his hamstring when I played him when he was at Rangers, but I shouldn't be laughing, but no. Yeah, he's one of the greatest strikers to ever play in the Premier League, in my opinion. His finishing was good, his speed was good. I think he had almost everything.
God, he did. Toronto FC legend. And your biggest superstition, is it wearing a new pair of gloves each game?
It is now, yeah. I think I didn't grow up with that luxury, but yeah, I've just gained the habit of having a new pair of gloves every game, and it's a nice luxury to have. And Adidas won't be happy hearing this, but yeah.
They will love you because always be selling and you just wove them in. But even if you have a good game, you're not like, oh, there's a good game in these gloves, I'm going to keep wearing them. You're like, on to the next.
On to the next game. Always. It's always on to the next game. There's always a better game to play. So
earlier this season, talking about kit, you received a pair of really incredible hand-painted boots from John White, who's a remarkable bloke, local Wrexham. He's got a business, Zebra Customs. He's designed boots for so many of Wrexham's first-team players. He was at our show in Vancouver. I got to spend some time with him. He's a genuinely brilliant bloke. And for your pair, you chose Saitama from the Japanese series One Punch Man.
One Punch, yeah.
Possibly the greatest bald hero since Sean Dyche finally led Everton to a win. But why did you choose that particular character? What does he mean or represent to you, Mr. One Punch?
I've been trying to get into the anime scene, and One Punch was one of the first animes I watched. I used Saitama because he's extremely powerful if you've watched the show, and yeah, his name tells you everything you need to know, really. If he punches you, you're done. So yeah, he's a very savage, but it's funny because he's deadly, but he's also, when you look at him, he looks so innocent and nice. So I think I just loved the character so much, and that's why I chose Saitama for John to do. I
think there's like a chant brewing about one punch and you're done. I love it, and I see the similarity, and God bless you, John White. But your younger brother, 18-year-old Brian, talked about it being a family business. He's currently a goalkeeper with Arsenal's under-21s. He signed a new contract with the North London club in July. First of all, what are the positives and negatives of having a brother who plays the same position around the family table?
I think the positives are that I can help my brother, and it's always something for us to talk about. More importantly than football. But yeah, I think the negatives are it's all we talk about at the same time, especially with my dad around. But no, it's so good to have my brother trying to follow in my footsteps, and I try to guide him, and he's living the footballer life, the goalkeeper life, should I say. And yeah, I'm trying to lead him the right way and teach him things I wish I would have done at his age. And yeah, I think that's the most important thing when you've been through something, to try and help the younger generation to improve at that.
The goalkeeper life, it sounds like genuinely just a beautiful, it sounds like a Decemberist album, but from your own journey, which has taken you to remarkable places, Graz, exotic Crewe, and now the Stoke Kairas promised land. What is the most important lesson that you've learned about life and football journeys that you relate to your brother?
The most important thing is, for me, being able to keep my mind on a straight line. Whether I win, whether I lose, being able to keep my head neutral, don't get high with the highs and don't get too low with the low. And that's advice I received from one of the coaches at Arsenal at the time. And yeah, that stuck with me, and I try to implement that every day in my career now. And yeah, I think it's really important that especially for young players to try and implement that in their game.
When I last saw you in August in Vancouver, you told me the goal back then pre-season was League One promotion, no ifs or ands or buts. You're like, this is what we do. This is why we compete. This is why we're footballers. We're 9 games into this marathon 46-game Wrexham season as we speak. You've had plenty of time to assess the reality of that goal. Are you more confident now, or has that reality changed anything for you, Arthur?
Nah, I'm not more confident. I'm as confident as I was then. I still think we're going for promotion. I think, like I said before, there's no point of us thinking about let's aim for 10th. We we don't we're not going to do that. So yeah, we're really positive, and yeah, we're definitely going to try our best to reach as high as possible. And if we don't achieve that, I'm sure we'll go for it again next season.
God bless. Arthur, I've got to tell you, the Everton fan in me was like, oh my God, I'd bite your arm off for 10th. But as a Wrexham aficionado, I genuinely love your spirit. I love your goal. I love your words. I do raise my glass of ice-cold Stoke to you, Arthur, to you, your family, your club, and all that is to come.
Thank you very much.
Courage.